Shalom, Jamal and Michelle. All right, we're just going to give it more time for more people to come in, and then we will get started. And today is 9/11, and they got all that 9/11 stuff on TV. It's amazing how they want us to remember 9/11, but anything that pertains to us, we're supposed to forget about it. Nice and convenient. Okay. Okay. Shalom, Anthony. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Where are you? All right, y'all. Now, they are talking about, and this came out on NPR, people that are suffering financially because of the pandemic. And of course, everybody is suffering except for, how they always want to tell everything. Everybody is suffering except for white people. They're never suffering. Just like they want to put out everybody's numbers on coronavirus except for theirs. You know, like we can't see through the smoke screen of what's going on. We know it's bad among them too, but they are going to make every effort to try to hide that. But they want to out any numbers for the Black community, which I'm not buying because they still haven't showed the raw numbers. So I'm not fully believing what they're telling us at all. And they're still on this thing about we should be the first to get these old fake out vaccines they're about to put out. We ain't gonna be the first of nothing. Okay, we ain't gonna be the first of nothing. All right, y'all, let me share my screen. Okay, go ahead and just give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. All right, let me just move over here. All right, so in this country, there are people going through very serious financial hardships, especially after getting cut off from the $600. They can't make rent. They're barely making it on the little bit that they have. And remember that $300 have not even hit everybody nationwide yet. And as I told you before, here in New Jersey, it's not even going to hit the people until October. And some people are not even getting it until the end of September. So it really depends on your state. And I was looking at another article, which I might put that story out for tomorrow, where the $300 weekly benefit is drying up. So they're already running out of money as we speak. So this is it's just a mess that this country is in. And a lot of it could have been avoided. A lot of the mess we're in is political. And we know it's no fault of the people because it was COVID-19 that caused you to lose your job in the first place. So this is NPR, September 9th, 2020. NPR poll, financial pain from coronavirus pandemic, much, much worse than expected. In America's 4 largest cities, at least half of the people say they have experienced a loss of a job or reduction in wages or work hours in their household since the start of the coronavirus outbreak. That's the finding of a new poll published Wednesday by NPR, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Many of these problems are concentrated among Black and Latino households in the 4 cities, according to the poll, which gathered responses from July 1st through August 3rd. All the more reason to give us our damn reparations. If you see the Black community is struggling since COVID hit this country, all the more reason to pay out that reparations. Houston had especially a high proportion of Latino households, 77%, and Black households, 81%, reporting serious financial problems. But the other 3 cities in our survey had high rates as well. So 73% of Latinos in New York City tell us their households experience serious financial problems since the start of coronavirus, along with 71% of Latino households in Los Angeles and 63% in Chicago. And what the reason why it is so high among Latinos, y'all, is because they took those low wage jobs, and those places are now shut down. So they are hit hard. A lot of those low wage paying places are no longer functioning, and they're not up and running like they were before. So they are really getting slammed. The majority of Black households in Chicago, 69%, New York City, 62%, and Los Angeles, 52%, also reported serious financial problems. But I had heard, I would say like back in April, they had anticipated that it was going to be far worse among Latinos, and it is. Nationally, the NPR polls find very substantial proportion of households reporting that their savings have been depleted by the pandemic, if they had any savings to start with, or that they have fallen behind on housing payments, or had problems paying debt or utilities before the federal coronavirus support programs even expired. So they're talking about moratoriums on rent so you wouldn't get evicted. But we know a lot of Americans are in trouble. People are already on the street, they have already been evicted. So they're saying the Harvard team expected to find substantial economic damage because of the unprecedented shutdown of the economy. But this is much, much, much worse than we've predicted. This is what I would expect without a national emergency relief bill. We had $2 trillion relief bill to lift people up and put a pillow under them, but it is not helping nearly as many people as we expected. Debate over the additional federal financial aid package resumed this week as Congress returned from its weeks-long vacation. Remember, they went on a recess. Much of the economic relief provided by the federal government expired this summer. And it should not have expired at all. If the pandemic was still going on, everything should have kept right on moving along. But, these folks proclaim to have high IQs and they function like idiots. That's all we see. On Tuesday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced that he was introducing a targeted coronavirus relief bill. The Senate already voted on that and it was rejected. They did not take Mitch McConnell's bill. I think he called it a skinny stimulus, and it didn't even include stimulus checks for everybody. So this man don't do nothing but come out and work against the public. That, I guess, that's all he's there for. Democrats continue to push for a broader package, which would include money for states and local governments. Funding Republicans have resisted adding. Democrats and in the House initially proposed a $3 trillion supplementary relief package, but have since scaled back by $1 trillion during negotiations. Serious child care problems found. Beyond serious financial problems, majority of households with children in the 4 major cities reported serious problems with caregiving. Such difficulties include finding physical activity spaces, enough distance from others, and keeping children's education going. So 3 in 5 households with children reported serious caregiving problems. Now, that is true. Because of the pandemic, many of the child care facilities have shut down, leaving even essential workers struggling to keep their kids at some type of childcare as they work. So it's even been a problem for them. It is not just that these households are struggling to keep their kids' education going, they are also struggling with almost every other aspect of managing their children's lives. In Los Angeles, the primary serious difficulty cited by households with children is keeping children's education going, 52%. Drilling deeper, we found that 54% of LA households with children reported either having serious problems with their internet connection to do schoolwork, or their jobs, or not having a high-speed internet connection at home. Serious healthcare problems. Our survey also looked at the ability to get healthcare during the pandemic, after many reports of Americans putting off or being unable to get care. We found high rates of households in the four cities having been unable to get medical care or have delayed needing health care, ranging from 19% in New York City, 27% in Houston, with over half saying that this has led to negative health consequences, ranging from 55% in Chicago and 75% in Houston. There were multiple reasons given, with many reporting that they could not find a doctor to see them, as hospitals around the country have delayed or canceled medical procedures to focus on resources on treating COVID-19. In New York City, where hospitals and intensive care units were massively overcrowded for weeks this spring, 19% of the people said at least one member of their household has been unable to get medical care for a serious problem when they needed it during the pandemic. And more than 59% of those households say they suffered negative health consequences because of the lack of care. And among the 9% of the households in the city who said they were unable to get timely surgeries or procedures done for important health problems during the epidemic, 56 reported negative consequences. Additionally, those people having someone in the household working in healthcare field expressed serious concerns about their safety on the job. In all four cities, majority of households have healthcare workers express serious concerns about their safety in regards to the coronavirus at work, including more than 3/4 of those in Los Angeles, 78%. This comes as sizable shares of households are living with people who are at high risk of developing serious illness from the coronavirus because of their age or underlying medical condition. In Los Angeles, it is nearly half, 48%. Serious financial issues, a core problem. Nationally, in our survey, beyond the four largest cities, 46% of the people reported serious problems with finances in their household during the pandemic. The poll also able to capture snapshots of those four biggest cities at different stages of the month-long coronavirus pandemics, cities that have had a range of public health responses to the virus. For example, Houston, where the epidemic peaked in July, about 4 in 10 households, 41%, reported using up most of all or all of their savings. Another 19% said they didn't have any savings to begin with. That means about 60% of Houston residents were either flat out broke by early August or nearly so. Mm-mm-mm. We also found a bigger impact on employment than other surveys have indicated. Some 57% of Houston households report that someone in the household lost a job, lost a business, has been furloughed, or has had wages or hours reduced since the start of coronavirus outbreaks. These households reported serious financial problems, even greater in numbers. A similar picture emerges in Los Angeles, where a surge of coronavirus cases were also peaking in July. There, more than half of Black households reported serious financial problems, 52%, compared with 37% of whites. And in LA, 71% of Latinos, almost twice the percentage of whites, reported serious financial problems. I watched a video, I think it was I think it was the day before, like around Wednesday. And it was Los Angeles, and they evicted a Latino family. And they were asking this man, how did he feel? And he got up to the mic and just broke down and cried. They couldn't do anything but just get in their car and leave. And he said they had absolutely nowhere to go. So we know that's going to be repeated all through the fall and the winter. It's going to be the dead cold of winter, y'all, and they're going to still be throwing people out to the streets. In Los Angeles, more than 1 in 3 households reported serious problems paying their credit cards, loans, or other debts. 35%, while the same percentage report having depleted all or most of their savings. 1 in 10, 11%, said they didn't have any savings at the start of the outbreak. Half of New York City households, 50%, said they suffered job loss or wage loss. Among these households, 73% said they were having serious household problems financially. Nearly 47% of those with employment changes have used up all or most of their savings, and 8% more said they didn't have any savings at all. So notably, 1 in 5 households in New York City are having missed or delayed payments on things like their mortgages. Latino, 36%, Blacks, 19% households were far more likely to report serious problems affording food than white households, 9%. Some 16% of Latinos said members of their household had serious problems not getting enough to eat every day. When our polls was being conducted in July and early August, Chicago had escaped somewhat the intense surges of coronavirus cases of the other 3 cities in our survey. But later in August, that changed, and the city is now on track for a peak in September of several hundred new cases per day. The city, along with nearby suburbs, is considering implementing tighter restrictions again to prevent the surge from getting out of control. Even though Chicago has been less affected than the rest of the country, the city's economy suffered, as did the whole country, from virus-related shutdowns and restrictions this past spring into summer. So they've done a little better, but people are still struggling, especially from the job loss. The survey was conducted online via cell phone and landline calls among the nationally representative probability-based, address-based sample of 3,454 adults 18 or older, both nationally and with additional focus on 4 of the largest U.S. cities: New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston. The margin of error for the national survey is 3.3% points, 5.4% points for New York City, 7.1% points for Los Angeles, 5.4% points for Chicago, and 6.3% points for Houston. So, ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is if people are going to continue to suffer in this country, these protests are going to become straight up violent. They are. It's coming. There's no way people are going to sit back and starve. And then you got these politicians that are trying to undercut you even more during a time when you are out of work. And the reason you're out of work is not even your fault. And they're stabbing you in the back anyway. People are going to explode. They're going to explode in this country. There is going to be civil unrest out in the street. And these cops are not going to be able to control it. You starve out enough people in this country, even your police force ain't going to be able to handle what's going on out in the streets. They won't. I tell you what, that bunker Trump went down in a few months ago, he better get that sucker ready when these people go off in this country. So it looks bad, but you know what? All we got to do is make sure, and I know everybody, we are all in different financial situations. I do understand that. But if you can stock up, then do it. Make sure you stock up your food supply. And anything that you can stock up on, that you can even get online, try to get it. I know, like I said, we are all different. Believe me, if I had a lot of money and if I knew any of my subscribers was in need, I would definitely help you without a hesitation. But I don't have it like that. I don't. But if I did, I would. I would make sure none of you would be hungry. But yeah, people are going to go off in this country for real. You let this keep growing every single month with people that are struggling and they have no savings and they don't have enough food every day. It is going to lead to, I'm telling you, this country is going to explode. They are whining and complaining about the protests now. You ain't seen nothing yet, for real. Yeah, I mean, it is a shame. It is, I feel for our people in any of those states because I know in Houston, they threw a lot of people out of their homes that couldn't pay. The evictions, they don't care. At the end of the day, they don't care. If they were going to put out a CARES Act, part of the CARES Act should have covered rent. Then there would be, rent would be a non-issue and people would be able to stay in their homes, but they didn't do it that way. And I don't believe any stimulus they put out should have an expiration until you see overall the pandemic is, dwindling in the country. Then, okay, now we can pull back on this and that and people can go out and get jobs, but they're not even doing that. And it just go to show you, these politicians do not care about us. They have not suffered one bit during this pandemic. That's why they don't care. They don't see the urgency in helping the people. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, all of them, they're rich. Those people are multimillionaires. They don't care about us. But you still got people running around here talking about voting. You are voting for people that never, ever gave a crap about us from day one. And you're still trying to get out here and vote for people that never cared about us. Wow. it's a damn shame. I don't want to see any of us out on the street. I really don't. I don't want to see anybody out on the street, especially during a pandemic. So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes what I was going to tell you for today. Everybody stay safe and keep those immune systems up. And Brother L did bring out a good point with the sea moss. I actually use sea moss in my smoothies every day. And I make my own. I'll just buy the dry sea moss. I'll wash it thoroughly. And then I will take a bowl and soak it overnight. And it doubles in size when you do that. And then once I do that, I just pour out the water and I blend it up and put it in mason jars. And I'm able to put them in big 32-ounce mason jars. And I just go through that until it's completely gone. And then some people will just buy the sea moss already prepared in jars. And that's fine. It's whatever you prefer. But you really got to wash it, because remember, that comes from the sea. And it's got a lot of dirt and sand, mainly sand. It's got a lot of sand in it. And that's why when you buy the dry sea moss, you have to wash it thoroughly. But it's definitely a good thing to have. If you can also start drinking alkaline water, that's another very good thing for you to have, along with the immunity teas that they sell. Like your ginger tea, your soursop tea, oolong tea. All of those are really good in making your immunity system stronger. But wow. Wow. I just pray every day to our Heavenly Father that none of our Hebrew brothers and sisters are suffering out here. But it's hard not to see how they're going to make it if things don't change. And we know things are never going to get better. It's not going to get better. It is not the time of the Gentile anymore. And that being said, it's not going to get better. But they're doing everything they can, but look at how much they're failing at. Yes, I have an alkaline water pitcher. I make my own water. I just pour the water in and it has a filter. And, once it passed through the filter, you have alkaline water. But, once you pour the water in there, you really should wait at least about, I would say, a half hour before you start drinking it, because you want that alkaline to really infuse in the water. So what I do is I'll just pour it in there, sit it in the refrigerator, and then wait a good half hour before I start drinking the alkaline water. Yeah, Babylon has no choice but to fall. Like I said, the time of the Gentile is over. Their times are over. That's why every attempt they make to go out here and open schools, you see how everybody is getting sick. And I believe a teacher recently, a third grade teacher recently died from COVID. She contracted COVID and days later she died. And now they're talking about, many districts are talking about, we have to rethink keeping these schools open. They're not going to be able to do it. Lemon can make water alkaline. If you don't mind drinking lemon water, that's good. And even lime. Lime can also make water alkaline. Yeah. And those of you, if you didn't listen to the live stream with Brother L, take some time and listen to it. It was a very good interview last night. It was very good. I think you would enjoy it. I used to see people when I was growing up. they would just go in their yards and get the dandelion root because there's so many of them. It's so much of it growing around you. It's always growing in somebody's yard, or you may have a lot of it in your yard, depending on what your landscaping look like. And I would watch people just go out and dig up those roots and clean them up and put them in their salads, or, and some people like to put it in their smoothie too. So it's nothing wrong with it. Really, the whole thing is edible. The flowers, the leaves, and the root. The whole thing is edible. Mm-hmm. It's always Mia 007 is always good to grow something, even if it's just one plant. It's better than nothing, for real. That's one less thing she got to go in the market and buy. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you for coming. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Shalom, family.